You ever thought about starting your own podcast? When I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other places people like to listen? How do I make money from my podcast? The answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you get paid for this podcast. What I like about it is starting using it is how easy it is to use. I just upload old episodes of my podcast. I placed it other places, do some editing and tinkering, and voila, that's it. It's that simple. So if you always wanted to start your own podcast, make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start. That's anchor.fm/start to join me in the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. And now, let's get on with the show. You ever felt you're being watched sometimes? Have you ever had a cold shiver run down your spine? Sometimes we go through that. Sometimes we look for answers to questions we don't really truly understand. Like, are we truly alone in the universe? Is there life after death? This world is weird. It gets weirder by the day. And in that weird are questions that we have as curious beings known as humans. Tonight, we look into some of those questions and get a little weird. Because we all are just a tad bit weird. Tonight on Weekend Weird. Welcome to Weekend Weird, the show about the weird and mundane that's going on in this universe, this world and beyond. I'm your host, producer, / Mr. Everything, RedNick. We're doing a very different episode today. This is going to be a year in review of 2020. This year was shit. Not gonna lie. If we forget this year ever happened, it'd be great, but we can't because there's lessons to be learned and things need to be reviewed. So, myself and my usual co-host Ogul recorded earlier just really a discussion on what had happened, some of the things that happened this year, some of the things we saw, some of the people we lost, and at least some good things that happened this year. Very few or far between, but yeah. So we're going to take you to that discussion now, and let's leave it at that. All right, here we go. Yeah, hello?
Hey.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good. What's going on?
I'm all right.
Is this thing recording now?
Yeah, but I'm gonna I'll do an intro before we get started. So,
do you want to restart, or are you just gonna cut?
No, we're just gonna cut it. Just like okay. This is different from any other episode. This is a conversation, mostly about how the year went for each other and how terrible this year was. So, I guess we get started.
I mean, Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely glad you gave me. Honestly, I'm glad we didn't do this last week because I've had a week to really think about this week. Like, obviously, I
Yeah.
thought about year a lot, but like, I really just like thought about it this last week. So yeah, it worked out better this way. I know it's like 2 days left in the year, but
Yeah.
I, I just wanted to make sure, just in case some shit happened in the last week of the year that we could cover it in this.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing happened. Uh, it was kind of terrible for wrestling fans, myself. So, yeah,
What?
I'm glad. It's kind of bad when a wrestler passed away. Uh, Brody Lee. Uh,
Uh,
Brody Lee in AEW, All Elite Wrestling. He was known as Luke Harper in World Wrestling Entertainment. He passed away pretty suddenly. He was 41.
oh
So,
damn.
yeah. Just adding more to a terrible year. So,
Yeah.
oh boy.
Yes, it does. All right. Well, I am sort of. I'll let you. I mean, you're obviously going to drive the car here, but I'll just pepper in whenever you want me to.
Yeah. Well, like I say, this is more of a conversation than anything. Let's start out. We know this year was terrible, but how has this personally affected you? Yeah,
Um.
so yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Get your intro going, and we'll get on it.
Well, yeah, we already all right. Yeah, we're just having a conversation here, me and my co-host, how 2020 has affected myself and my co-host, and it was a shitty year all around. And
Yeah.
oh god, yeah, yeah. This
Hey,
is
Nick.
this is a year I'll never forget. Yes, hey, Ogul.
Man, I don't know.
So,
Like, honestly, yes, a lot of bad things happened this year. Obviously,
yeah.
yes. For those of you who know me in my personal life, I'm incredibly optimistic and very positive, pragmatic, if that makes sense. I know it's sometimes you can't be both, but I try to stay on the silver lining side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of things happened this year, for personally in bigger, and I think the biggest thing that happened to me personally is just I just learned a lot of things about myself that I didn't know. Um, I think this year held a mirror up to not only myself but to the world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So yeah, I mean, yes, obviously some really bad things happened this year. And they're gonna continue into the next year. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
mm, but yeah, so that's sort of my overall. That's sort of my overall. Like if I had to give a one sentence hot take on the whole year.
Yeah. Yeah, this was I didn't see this coming. I thought it was going to be at the beginning of the year not a good year because of the elections and just how the climate of this country in the United States for all of us, for all you foreign listeners out there. I thought it was going to be um, kind of troubling, but I didn't think it would get this bad. I mean, we've in a pandemic that we're still in that was easily preventable. Especially you look at other countries like New Zealand and even China, where it originated, Taiwan. They seem to have it under the control mostly. There's still spontaneous cases popping up, but not as much as here. Um, the incompetency of our current president made it worse. Bright side is he will not be president in 3 weeks anymore. So that's a bright spot, but still, the amount of damage that he's done will last probably a lifetime. Um, We're at 300,000, over 300,000 people are dead for something that could have been prevented.
So
Could have been prevented.
yeah, I mean, I got a lot of different thoughts on COVID, obviously, as one does.
Mm-hmm.
The reaction and the steps taken by the Trump administration obviously has led to an exaggerated number of deaths in this country, an exaggerated number of cases, an overburdened healthcare system, wide, deep, terrible impacts on the economy that will be felt for a generation. And that's not hyperbolic in saying that I think the damage from COVID will be felt for a generation.
Right.
And I heard somewhere the other day that half of all employment in the United States is by small businesses. Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that number was so high. So 50% of all labor in this country are provided by small businesses, and I don't know exactly how a small business is defined. I'm sure it's like under 100 employees or some shit.
Right.
And half of all small businesses have shut down because of COVID. Shut down as in like may never open again.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about a 25% of the workforce that may never find equal employment again.
Right.
So it's been a terrible year for death, economy, because of COVID. I mean, specifically. At the same time, you know, it's tough to put all of the blame on the foot of the president, and it's tough to put all of the blame on the foot of the White House, because complicit in not telling people to wear masks, states dragging their feet to tell people to social distance, states reopening too soon, not following federal guidelines. I mean, what I mean to say is that, yes, it's easy to blame Trump for the madness of COVID, but I think as a country, we all failed. And you might say, how, Ogul? I quarantined most of the year and I socially distanced and wore a mask, right? But it takes a whole country, it takes a whole nation to battle something as bad as a disease pandemic, and we failed as a country, bro.
Yeah, we did. We absolutely did. And especially with this pandemic, even though a lot of us said how fragile and how fucked up the U.S. healthcare system is, all we said is all it takes is one pandemic and the shit's going to blow up. And we've seen it. When a lot of us are out here, well, I'm totally for free healthcare for all. A lot of us want some sort of protection from the government for healthcare. We're saying that because we've been saying it for years. It takes one pandemic and everything's fucked. And look what happened. Like, we were just speaking into an echo chamber and people were just like, no, you need to take care of your own. You can't afford healthcare. That's just you. Yeah, well, look what happened. Look what the fuck happened. And now we're sitting here, hospitals are overrun, people that have lost their health coverage. You get sick, that's it.
Yeah, I mean no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, it's completely put a magnifying glass on what already was an apparent problem to anyone outside or even in the United States. Like the U.S., for as great as a economy historically it is, it's an utter failure when it comes to healthcare for the masses. I mean, yeah, for the rich it's fine. For the masses,